Ready for a whirlwind ride into the hidden corners of one of the most iconic Bond films ever made? Let's uncover 20 surprising, rarely discussed facts about Octopussy, 1983, that just might change the way you see this classic 007 adventure. 1. Roger Moore's original 3-film deal. When Roger Moore stepped into James Bond's shiny loafers, he initially locked in a 3-picture deal beginning with Live and Let Die, 1973. That arrangement guided him through some of the 1970s most unforgettable Bond moments, but it also came with a ticking clock. After fulfilling those 3 films, Moore had the option to exit the stage. By the time he'd completed his trio, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, and The Spy Who Loved Me, the producers were in a frenzy to negotiate new contracts, film by film. This piecemeal approach brought a wave of uncertainty each time a new Bond film rolled around. Would Roger Moore keep going, or would audiences see another face ordering vodka martinis? By the late 70s, the negotiations for Moonraker and later For Your Eyes Only featured countless backstage whispers predicting Moore's possible retirement. Every signing felt like it could be his last. Then came the hush-hush development of what would become Bond's 13th mission on screen, Octopussy. Rumors swirled that Moore was done for good. Fans didn't know if they should prepare a farewell or stay hopeful. This uncertainty elevated the buzz around Octopussy, setting the stage for one of the franchise's most dramatic pre-production sagas, even before cameras rolled. 2. The search for a new Bond and a dramatic last-minute pivot. As Octopussy began taking shape, the production team saw Roger Moore's involvement as far from certain. Determined not to stall the project, they started scouting fresh talent who might don Bond's tuxedo if Moore officially bowed out. Names like Ian Ogilvy and Timothy Dalton floated around, each having dabbled in suave, mysterious roles that felt like stepping stones to 007. But the real star candidate became James Brolin, an American actor whose screen tests impressed the team so much that he was offered the role outright. Brolin was so convinced he'd be the next Bond that he reportedly arranged accommodations in London, gearing up for a massive life change. But then came a seismic development. Kevin McClory was secretly orchestrating a rival Bond film, Never Say Never Again, featuring none other than Sean Connery, Bond's original big-screen legend. The idea of dueling 007's was explosive for Hollywood insiders. Feeling the heat, Eon Productions made a swift and spectacular U-turn, courting Roger Moore one more time. With the potential Bond vs. Bond clash looming, the producers dangled an enticing 2-film contract that Moore ultimately accepted. Brolin, stunned by this sudden change, found himself sidelined, and Moore returned to charm audiences once again as the beloved British superspy. 3. Title origins and links. 2. Ian Fleming's short stories. On the surface, the name Octopussy might sound like a novelty invented purely for shock value. In truth, it comes straight from Ian Fleming's short story collection published in 1966, which included both Octopussy and The Living Daylights. While the film's core plot is mostly original, there are clever nods to Fleming's pages that eagle-eyed fans appreciate. One of these nods involves a precious Fabergé egg, a plot device lifted partially from the story, The Property of a Lady. In that narrative, the delicate yet valuable egg becomes pivotal in a spy game brimming with deception. Octopussy takes that concept and intertwines it with an exotic smuggling operation, connecting the film's high-stakes espionage to Fleming's earlier blueprint. Additionally, Octopussy herself, played by Maud Adams, carries echoes of the short story's themes and backstory. Fleming's protagonist in Octopussy faced moral dilemmas tied to loyalty, duty, and a final reckoning. The film transforms these elements into the resolute yet mysterious persona of its leading lady. Rather than a direct adaptation, Octopussy becomes a creative patchwork, stitching together bits of Fleming's short stories with newly penned intrigue. The result is a cinematic tapestry that feels both familiar to aficionados and fresh to casual viewers alike. 4. Peter Lamont's hair-raising flight in India. Production designer Peter Lamont signed up for Octopussy with visions of vibrant Indian palaces and exotic locales dancing in his head. Yet his journey to scout filming locations proved far more perilous than he ever bargained for. En route to India, his plane was hijacked by a lone terrorist carrying a gun and a grenade. The hijacker forced the pilot to land, trapping everyone on board for an agonizing 12-hour ordeal under the sweltering tarmac sun. Tension soared, and passengers feared the worst. Negotiations inched forward with no clear outcome. Meanwhile, the hijacker grew increasingly agitated. Then, in a daring move reminiscent of a Bond stunt, the pilot seized an opening. He grappled with the hijacker, subduing him just enough to break free from his grip. In the chaos that followed, the terrorist fell from the plane and was fatally shot. For Lamont, it was a heart-stopping experience that nearly overshadowed the entire location hunt. But undeterred, he continued to gather the essential design concepts that would shape Octopussy's signature look. The harrowing hijacking not only tested his nerve, it also added a jolt of real-life suspense to a production known for on-screen thrills. 5. Maud Adams returns. The 007 spotlight. Swedish actress Maud Adams had already graced the Bond universe once before, portraying Andrea Anders in The Man with the Golden Gun, 1974. Usually, repeating a Bond girl is a major taboo in the 007 canon, but fate, and producer Albert R. "Cubby" Broccoli, had other plans. When casting for the title character in Octopussy, the team considered glamorous Hollywood names like Faye Dunaway, who was reportedly too expensive, and Barbara Carrera, who declined and chose to star in the rival Bond project Never Say Never Again. Ultimately, Broccoli insisted on Maud Adams for her undeniable poise and international charm. Initially, they toyed with darkening her hair to give the character an Indian heritage. Over time, this concept evolved, steering Octopussy's backstory toward her being the daughter of a disgraced British operative. The subtle shift maintained that air of mystery while honoring the film's global flair. Despite the unconventional move of reintroducing Adams to the series, audiences embraced her as Octopussy, a powerful smuggler and matriarch of a private island of female acolytes. Her on-screen presence offered both a romantic angle for Bond and a formidable adversary for the film's villains, proving that some casting rules are made to be broken in the name of cinematic magic. 6. The final Bond film to reveal the next title. Modern Bond fans are used to top-secret announcements and cryptic social media teasers for each new installment. But back when Octopussy hit theaters, viewers got a bonus treat at the film's conclusion. Traditionally, many Bond movies ended with a promise: James Bond will return in, followed by the title of the next film. Octopussy was the last to use this iconic sign-off. Early on, the projected title for the follow-up was From a View to a Kill, directly referencing another Ian Fleming short story. Yet in a twist that might feel like Hollywood tradition, marketing executives and producers decided to shorten it simply to A View to a Kill right before filming commenced. That title presumably rolled off the tongue better and was thought to have broader global appeal. For fans, the moment was bittersweet. The immediate teaser for the next adventure had become almost a ritual, bridging each Bond installment to the next. Ending that practice signaled not just the close of an era but the ongoing evolution of the franchise. Though we'd never again see an exact James Bond will return in style announcement on the big screen, the legacy of those final Octopussy credits endures among dedicated 007 enthusiasts. 7. The health contract between Moore and Maud Adams. During Octopussy's shoot, Roger Moore was grappling with secret worries that he might not be physically up to the task. Having portrayed Bond multiple times, Moore was no stranger to the demanding stunts and rigorous production schedules. Yet the strain on his heart weighed heavily on his mind. Rumor has it he toyed with the idea of stepping away altogether, an outcome that would have reshaped the movie mid-production. Enter Maud Adams, his co-star and longtime friend from their days on The Man with the Golden Gun. Seeing Moore's distress, Adams sought a second opinion from her then-boyfriend, who happened to be a physician. His examination gave Moore a clean bill of health, advising that, with proper caution, he could continue comfortably in the role that defined a decade of 007 films. This quiet behind-the-scenes drama almost led to a major shakeup, but Adams' intervention proved pivotal. While the finished film emphasizes Bond's suave confidence, real-world uncertainties made each take more precious. It's a touching footnote that Octopussy wouldn't be the same without the mutual support of its leading stars, showcasing the unbreakable bond, pun intended, between these two talents both on and off the screen. 8. Recycled ideas from previous Bond scripts. One of the hidden charms of Octopussy is how it revitalizes elements once considered, but never used, in earlier Bond adventures. For instance, the Acroster microjet that wows audiences in the film's opening was initially slated to appear in Moonraker. Screenwriters had envisioned Bond using such a miniature aircraft for a daring escape through the Amazon jungle. Though it was ultimately shelved from that storyline, the concept was too good to discard. Similarly, fans might be intrigued to learn that the knife-throwing twins, Mishka and Grishka, were early casualties of Moonraker's script development. The flamboyant duo didn't make the final cut back then but found new life in Octopussy. Even the tense backgammon, or more accurately, loaded dice, game between Bond and Kamal Khan has roots in a discarded scene from The Spy Who Loved Me. The creative team simply polished it, giving Bond a wily trick up his sleeve as he outsmarts Khan in a swirl of high-stakes gambling. This patchwork of unused ideas isn't a sign of desperation, but rather an ability to adapt and refine. Each recycled concept was honed to fit Octopussy's tone, exemplifying how Bond's world can constantly reshape itself, blending new vision with old brilliance. 9. 1983's Battle of the Bonds. The year 1983 gave rise to one of the most electrifying showdowns in cinematic history, often dubbed the Battle of the Bonds. On one side stood Octopussy, supported by the well-oiled Eon Productions machine and starring the beloved Roger Moore. On the other side was Kevin McClory's Never Say Never Again, featuring the legendary Sean Connery returning to a role he once claimed he'd never revisit, hence the cheeky title. McClory's legal claim to the Thunderball story allowed him to remake it outside of Eon's jurisdiction. Fans were simultaneously thrilled and bewildered at the prospect of two James Bond films releasing in the same year, each with a different leading man. Media hype soared. Would audiences favor Moore's comedic flair or Connery's classic gravitas? When the dust settled at the box office, Octopussy raked in roughly $187 million on a $27 million budget, while Never Say Never Again earned about $160 million with a heftier production cost. Both did well, but Eon's official Bond took the crown. For connoisseurs, 1983 remains a legendary moment, the only time theaters showcased dueling Bonds. It was a cinematic spectacle that underscored the enduring power and flexibility of Ian Fleming's super spy. 10. Tennis star Vijay Amritraj's action-packed role. Before stepping into the chaotic world of Bond villains and tuk-tuk chases, Vijay Amritraj was best known as a tennis champion. In the realm of sports, he was fearless on the court, but Octopussy offered an entirely different stage. Hired early in production, he took on the role of Bond's ally and local contact, conveniently named Vijay as well. This was no accidental coincidence. The producers capitalized on his real-life fame to add a playful twist. His character wields a tennis racket as an impromptu weapon, an amusing nod to his sporting background. In one memorable chase, bystanders on screen turn their heads back and forth, mimicking spectators at a tennis match. Off-screen, however, Vijay faced a snag. He wasn't a member of Britain's acting union, creating bureaucratic hurdles. Fearing an interruption in filming, Ian considered replacing him with Albert Moses. Ultimately, the paperwork was sorted out, allowing both men to share screen time and lines. Vijay's cameo is a testament to how Octopussy embraced real-life talent to inject novelty into the 007 formula. His scenes delighted sports fans and traditional Bond enthusiasts alike, proving that a tennis ace can seamlessly transition from center court to cinematic high-speed pursuits. 11. The daring Christina Wayborn and on-set injuries. Christina Wayborn stepped into the role of Magda with poise and precision, determined to make her character more than just another Bond sidekick. In one of her most mesmerizing stunts, Magda executes a dramatic exit by unfurling a sari from a balcony and descending gracefully to the ground below. Against typical Hollywood wisdom, Wayborn chose to perform much of this stunt herself, wanting authenticity over a stunt double. The production split the sequence between two locations. At Pinewood Studios in England, the team shot her initial leap from the balcony. Then, in India, they captured her landing, hoping the seamless edit would highlight her daring spirit. Yet behind the camera, Wayborn faced the bruises and broken toes that come with such risk. She wasn't alone. Roger Moore's stunt double, Martin Grace, suffered a horrific accident on a train set piece that put him in the hospital for months. Another performer, wielding a yo-yo-like buzzsaw, broke his arm in a separate mishap. Despite these injuries, Wayborn and her co-stars soldiered on. The scenes exude a kinetic energy shaped by real sacrifices, showcasing that the glamour of 007 often comes with real grit and unwavering dedication behind every glittering frame. 12. The infamous plane over the cliff scene gone wrong. High-octane thrills are a Bond hallmark, and Octopussy aimed to deliver a spectacular sequence involving a Beechcraft airplane loaded with explosives careening off a cliff. In concept, it was the perfect visual crescendo for Kamal Khan's ultimate defeat, tying up the film's villain with a literal fiery fall. But as with any large-scale stunt, luck and preparation both play crucial roles. When the second unit executed this scene, accounts differ on exactly how it went awry. One story claims that after sending the unmanned plane, complete with a lifelike mannequin pilot, off the cliff, the craft veered unexpectedly, making a wide loop and then softly landing, never giving the crew the cinematic explosion they wanted. Another version suggests the cameras simply weren't rolling at the critical moment, squandering the entire stunt. Either way, the result was a dud. The production team had to scramble, ultimately resorting to miniatures and special effects at Pinewood Studios to recreate the epic crash. The final film splices these carefully staged shots, maintaining the illusion of a grand, destructive finale. It's a reminder that, even in Bond's carefully orchestrated universe, chance can sabotage grand designs, demanding quick thinking and creative solutions. 13. Miss Penelope Smallbone, the Moneypenny successor who never was loyal. Fans of Miss Moneypenny know her as the quick-witted secretary who brightens Bond's visits to MI6. But behind the scenes of Octopussy, producers had a plan to introduce a younger assistant, Miss Penelope Smallbone, who could eventually inherit Moneypenny's desk. Michaela Clavel was cast to play the role, filming scenes designed to showcase her chemistry with Bond and set up a transition over subsequent films. Lois Maxwell, the original Moneypenny, apparently misspoke the character's name as Smallbush in front of Roger Moore, who quipped about her possible Freudian slip. Despite the comedic flub, Smallbone's presence was meant to foreshadow an evolving MI6 staff. However, behind-the-camera realities, particularly budget cuts, forced the creative team to reduce or remove certain roles from the next film, A View to a Kill. As a result, Miss Penelope Smallbone was quietly dropped, and Moneypenny continued her iconic banter with 007. While Miss Smallbone's cameo remains a curiosity for fans who notice her brief appearance, she could have heralded a new era had circumstances been different. Instead, she's relegated to the annals of What If Bond trivia, a footnote in the grand tapestry of supporting characters who nearly reshaped the franchise. 14. The birth of All Time High. Writing a Bond theme song is a colossal task, peppered with creative constraints and high expectations. For Octopussy, legendary composer John Barry teamed up with lyricist Tim Rice. One major rule from producer Cubby Broccoli: the word Octopussy could not feature in the lyrics. Given the risque title, they opted for an all-new track, All Time High. Tim Rice initially wanted to bring in Elaine Paige, while Broccoli considered the venerable Shirley Bassey. In a twist of fate, Barbara Broccoli, Cubby's daughter, recommended Rita Coolidge, a singer known for her sultry vocal style. Their hope was that her gentle yet resonant sound would capture the film's atmosphere of romance and exotic thrills. Although All Time High didn't ascend to the chart dominance of some prior Bond anthems, it peaked at number 75 in the UK and number 36 in the US, it exudes a distinctive warmth that many fans still appreciate. The creative decision to pivot away from typical Bond bombast toward a more soothing melody symbolized Octopussy's layered tone. It delivered both action and escapism, balanced by a softer emotional undercurrent. Even if it wasn't a chart-topping smash, All Time High remains a unique entry in the pantheon of 007 theme songs. 15. TUK-TUK chases and an unintended cameo. Bond films are famed for sleek gadgets and flashy supercars, but Octopussy took a different road, literally, by throwing our hero into the bustling streets of India inside a modified tuk-tuk. These iconic three-wheelers were souped up to reach nearly 70 miles per hour, far beyond their normal capacity. This gave the chase sequence a quirky, local flair that set it apart from more typical car pursuits. Yet sometimes the most memorable moments happen by sheer accident. During filming, an unsuspecting bicyclist pedaled right into the live-action chase. Instead of stopping the cameras, the filmmakers let the moment play out. Watching this cyclist weave through the dramatic pursuit, blissfully unaware that James Bond was racing villains on either side, added a dash of authenticity and humor. It was a rare stroke of luck that enhanced the realism of the scene. India's chaotic traffic offered an organic challenge to both the production team and the stunt drivers, who had to adapt minute by minute. For audiences, it felt like a spontaneous slice of local life colliding with Bond's high-stakes world. That genuine interaction, preserved in the final cut, made the tuk-tuk chase an unforgettable highlight, proving not every Bond stunt needs futuristic gizmos. 16. The Fabergé egg replica. Artful, ornate, and priceless, Fabergé eggs immediately conjure images of Russian opulence. For Octopussy, the filmmakers selected the imperial coronation egg as a key prop, a jewel-encrusted symbol of wealth and authority. The original masterpiece, created in 1897 for Tsar Nicholas II, contained a miniature gold carriage inside. Naturally, the real piece is so rare and valuable that using it in a film production was out of the question. Instead, the prestigious jeweler Asprey of London crafted an exquisite replica. Its authenticity was so striking that the egg's presence on set conveyed genuine luxury. This ornate object isn't merely a decoration, though. In Octopussy, the coveted egg becomes the centerpiece of a smuggling operation, representing power, prestige, and betrayal. The egg's mystique underscores the film's seamless blend of class and danger. Bond must navigate a world where even the most beautiful items can be used for nefarious ends. The storyline around the egg's theft and replacement also pays homage to Ian Fleming's short story, The Property of a Lady, tying the film back to Bond's literary roots. For viewers, the egg stood out not just as a shiny MacGuffin but as a symbol of the film's refined international intrigue. 17. Royal privileges in Udaipur. Nestled in the Indian state of Rajasthan, Udaipur is often called the City of Lakes for good reason. Its regal palaces and shimmering waters made it a dreamy backdrop for Octopussy. Maharana Bhagwat Singh, the local royal figure, didn't just permit filming, he rolled out the red carpet. The production gained extraordinary access to iconic sites like Shiv Niwas Palace, which served as Bond's luxurious hotel, and the Lake Palace, transformed into Octopussy's private retreat. Further up on a hilltop sat the Monsoon Palace, standing in for villainous Kamal Khan's hidden lair. Actors and crew weren't simply visitors. Many stayed in the actual palaces, receiving the Maharana's warm hospitality, complete with elaborate dinners and even a stuffed tiger for certain hunting sequences. The generosity extended to assisting with logistic hurdles, from transport to crowd control, enabling the filming to capture the city's vibrant soul. This close collaboration helped cement Octopussy as a cinematic love letter to Udaipur's splendor. Scenes of saffron sunsets and gliding boats evoke a timeless allure. Local citizens became part of the film's DNA, sometimes appearing spontaneously in crowd shots. Thanks to the Maharana's enthusiasm, Udaipur and its people left a lasting mark on both the film's visuals and its behind-the-scenes folklore. 18. Robert Brown takes up the M title. When audiences met the character M in Octopussy, they were introduced to actor Robert Brown for the first time in the role. Previously, Bernard Lee had created an indelible portrayal of Bond's no-nonsense boss, but his passing left a significant gap. Robert Brown stepped in, carrying the mantle of MI6's commanding figure. However, the film doesn't explicitly confirm if he's playing the same Miles Messervy or a brand new M. Speculation runs wild among Bond aficionados. Some suggest Brown's M might be Admiral Hargreaves, a character he played in The Spy Who Loved Me. The possibility that Hargreaves was promoted to MI6's top seat after Lee's M quietly retired or died intrigues fans, weaving a continuity thread between the films. Yet, official canon didn't clarify the nature of this transfer of power until years later, when GoldenEye introduced Judi Dench as M, confirming that M is indeed a title rather than a single identity. Regardless of the behind-the-scenes debate, Robert Brown's calm gravitas and unwavering authority fit seamlessly into Bond's world. He became a steady force in subsequent entries, guiding 007 through missions with a blend of paternal concern and steely professionalism, just as the character demanded. 19. The opulent Octopussy barge, an exotic villainess, deserves an equally exotic mode of transport, which led the Octopussy crew to design a lavish barge fit for a cinematic queen. To achieve it, they joined two traditional Indian boats, merging them into one eye-catching vessel. A local construction manager named Dixit, his real name, oversaw the process, ensuring the barge matched the production's ambitious vision of comfort and grandeur. On board, boat master Mike Turk gave a crash course in rowing and maneuvering to the actresses portraying Octopussy's loyal entourage. Coordinating synchronized strokes in a film-set environment proved tricky, but the end result was a spectacle of shimmering waters and elegantly gliding boat. Ingrid Pitt, famed for her roles in horror films, provided voiceover for the barge's mistress, adding an extra dash of mystique. One of the film's final shots captures this floating palace sailing into the sunset. By then, the day's light was almost gone, but the crew seized the fleeting golden glow. The footage gave Octopussy a dreamy conclusion, embodying the film's fusion of exotic locales, ornate design, and comedic touches of Bond flair. The barge remains a testament to how 007's creative team spares no detail in forging unforgettable cinematic moments. 20. Octopussy's victorious finale. Despite all the behind-the-scenes drama, from contract showdowns to near-disastrous stunts, Octopussy emerged triumphant both critically and commercially. Its global haul soared to about $187 million, surpassing its rival Never Say Never Again and staking its claim as the 1983 Bond winner. Audiences couldn't resist the film's mix of exotic Indian settings, clever espionage subplots, and Roger Moore's signature wit. Beyond just the numbers, Octopussy left an indelible mark on the franchise. It expanded Bond's world into new cultural territories, embraced innovative stunts, and revived scrapped ideas with fresh polish. The film's humor and style struck a chord with viewers who wanted the classic 007 experience peppered with unexpected twists. Even as Moore reprised Bond in subsequent adventures, Octopussy felt like a culmination of his comedic approach, refined by years of stepping into the British spy's iconic shoes. By the closing credits, accompanied by the promise James Bond will return, fans left theaters both satisfied and thrilled to see what was next. Time has proven that Octopussy's distinct cocktail of elegance, spectacle, and Bond lore endures, a sparkling gem that overcame internal doubts and external competition to cement its place in cinematic history. If you've enjoyed this journey through the hidden stories of Octopussy, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment below with your favorite 007 moment, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our next Bond adventure. Share with a friend who loves spy thrills, and stay tuned for more intriguing tales from the world of cinema.